In 2020, I had coffee with a guy who worked for one of the big consulting firms, been there 14 years, partner track, making close to 200K a year. He told me he felt completely secure in his job. A few months later, COVID hit. 3 months after that, his firm laid off 30% of their workforce, and he was one of them. 14 years, stellar performance, partner track. None of it mattered. And here's the thing. This wasn't a COVID story. This was something that COVID accelerated that was already happening. The idea of job security, the belief that if you work hard, stay loyal, and do good work, your employer will take care of you, that's been dead for years. We've just pretended it wasn't. But the layoffs keep coming. The mergers keep happening. The restructuring never stops. And if you're a mid-career professional right now, you can feel it. You know the game has changed. So if security, job security I should say, is dead, what replaced it? That's what we're going to talk about today. I'm Gary Smith. I spent nearly 2 decades in corporate leadership for roles at companies like AIG Financial, ERA Real Estate, Mercedes-Benz, before I transitioned into working for myself in 2019. Now I teach business strategy at the graduate level and coach mid-career professionals who are navigating this exact question. How do you build security in a world where your employer can't provide it anymore? And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. What I'm about to tell you isn't comfortable. It requires you to think differently about your career. It requires you to take responsibility for things your employer used to handle. But here's the upside. Once you understand what it actually takes to create security now, you'll stop feeling anxious every time there's a company-wide meeting. You'll stop wondering if you're next, and you'll start building something that nobody can take away from you. So let's get into it. Let's start by acknowledging what we lost. The old model of job security was simple. You give your company your time, your loyalty, your effort. In return, the company gives you a steady paycheck, benefits, a reasonable expectation that you'll still have a job next year. That was the deal. And for about 40 years, let's say from the 1950s to the 90s, it mostly worked. But starting in the late 90s and accelerating through the 2000s, companies realized loyalty is expensive. Long-term employees, they expect raises, they expect promotions, they expect to be taken care of when times get tough. So companies stopped offering loyalty. They started treating employees as variable costs instead of long-term investments. And here's the part that most people still haven't processed yet. This wasn't temporary. This wasn't a response to a recession or a tough market. This was a fundamental shift in how corporations operate. Private equity comes in, it guts the workforce, companies offshore entire departments. Mergers mean redundancies, and redundancies mean layoffs. AI and automation eliminate roles that used to be safe. And let's be honest, you're seeing this happen right now because we're all seeing this happen right now. And that's why I created the Expertise to Income Assessment. It is a free 3-minute assessment. It measures your readiness to go out on your own across 6 key areas. Your expertise, market demand, your offer, your income potential, client acquisition, and your overall readiness to actually work for yourself. When you're done, you'll get a personalized score and instant feedback that shows you exactly where you're strong, where you have some gaps, and what to focus on first. No fluff, no theory. Only answers to your most important questions. The link's going to be down here in the description below. Take a look at it and think about it. Even if you work for, let's say, a good company, even if your boss likes you, even if you're hitting your numbers, you're not safe because the decision to eliminate your role, it won't be made by your boss. It'll be made by someone in finance who's never met you and doesn't care about your 15 years of service. That's the reality. So if the old model is gone, what will replace it? Here's what replaced job security, skill security. The only real security you have now is your ability to generate income independent of any single employer. Not because you're going to quit your job tomorrow, not because you hate your job, but because when, and not if, your employer decides they don't need you anymore, you need to be able to land on your feet. And I'm not talking about updating your resume and hoping another company hires you. I'm talking about having skills that are valuable enough that you can actually sell them directly to the market. Think about it this way. Right now, your employer is your only customer. They pay you a salary in exchange for your time and your expertise. And as long as they keep paying you, hey, everything is fine. What happens when they stop? You're unemployed. You're scrambling. You're competing with 500 other people for the same job posting. And even if you land something, you're right back in the same situation. One customer, no control, no security. Now, imagine a different scenario. Imagine you have three clients. Each one pays you $5,000 a month for your expertise. That's 15 grand a month. That's $180,000 a year. One of those clients decides they don't need you anymore. All right, that's not great, but that's not a disaster, right? You still have 10 grand a month coming in, and you have time to replace that client. So you're not scrambling, you're not panicking, you're fine. That's skill security. It's not about leaving your corporate job tomorrow. It's about building the ability to generate income outside your employer so that you're never dependent on a single source of income again. And here's the thing. You probably already have these skills. You just don't see it yet. If you've been in corporate for 5, 10, 15 years, you've solved problems, right? You've built systems, you've managed projects, you've led teams, you've created results. And all of that has value. Somebody out there, probably a lot of somebodies, would pay you for that expertise if you knew how to package it and sell it. But most mid-career professionals, they never figure this out because they're so focused on job security, right? Finding the next employer who will take care of them, that they never think about skill security. So what does skill security actually look like in practice? Let me give you a couple examples. I worked with a client who had 18 years in supply chain management, and he was nervous about his job because the company had just been acquired. Right, layoffs were coming. His instinct was to start applying to other companies. That's what everyone does, right? But we took a different approach. We figured out what specific problem he was exceptionally good at solving. In his case, it was reducing lead times for manufacturers, and we built an offer around it. Within 4 months, he had 2 consulting clients. He was making about $8,000 a month on the side while still working his corporate job. And when the layoffs came, this was about 6 months later, he didn't panic. He already had revenue. He already had clients. He just shifted to full-time consulting and he replaced his corporate income. It was about 3 or 4 months. That is skill security. Now, another person I worked with had 15 years in marketing, but she saw the writing on the wall after her company budgets were getting cut. Right, the team started getting smaller and she knew her role was at risk. So she started doing fractional CMO work for smaller companies. This was about 2 days a week, right? Saturday, Sunday, weekend stuff. Was earning about $4,000 a month per client. Right, she picked up 3 clients while working her full-time job, and when her company eventually eliminated her, and her position, I should say, she didn't even blink. Right, she had 12 grand a month coming in consulting revenue. Right, so she just took on a couple more clients, ended up making more than she did when she was in corporate. That's skill security. I'm not saying everyone should quit their job and become a consultant. That's not the point. The point is this: if you're sitting in a corporate job right now, hoping your employer will take care of you, you're building your life on a foundation that doesn't exist anymore, right? The companies that could offer job security, they don't exist. The loyalty that made job security possible doesn't exist. The economic conditions that supported long-term employment, it doesn't exist today. What does exist is your ability to take the skills and experience that you've built over the long term and turn that into something that creates income, independent of any employer. That's the new security. That's what's replaced the old model. Job security is dead. It's been dead for a while, and no amount of hoping or working harder or being loyal is going to bring it back. What replaced it is skill security, the ability to generate income based on the value you create, not based on whether an employer decides to keep you around. And if you're a mid-career professional right now, this is your wake-up call. Not to panic, not to quit your job tomorrow, but to start thinking differently about where your security actually comes from. Because here's the truth. The most dangerous position you can be in is having all your income dependent on one employer who could just eliminate your role at any time for reasons that have nothing to do with your performance. And the safest position you can be in is having skills that are valuable enough that you can actually take those out, you can sell them to multiple clients on your terms at rates that reflect your actual worth. So the question becomes, how do you figure out what skills you have that are valuable to the market? How do you package those skills into an offer? How do you find clients? How do you price your services? How do you transition from being an employee to being someone who sells their expertise directly? That's the implementation. That's the work. And that's exactly what I help mid-career professionals figure out. So if you're someone who's maybe been nodding along to this video, if you can feel that your job isn't as secure as you want it to be and you're ready to actually build something, I'd encourage you to take the free 3-minute assessment. That's the Expertise to Income Assessment. I'm going to put a link down here in the description below. You can also book a one-on-one Zoom strategy call with me. There will be a link. I'll put that down there as well. But I recommend starting with a free assessment. So you can actually get your expertise to income score. It doesn't cost anything. And when you're done, you'll get personalized results. You'll have a personalized score. You'll get instant feedback that you can then apply. All right. That's it for today. I'll publish another video in a few days. So if you like this one, you'll probably like that one as well. I'll see you then.